I do feel that we've seen this movie many times where we have a star, and it's not as though the star got better with time. It's not as though, he was learning on the go and, we built him up slowly. It's like, no, he might be a little bit better than he was on day one. He might not be. He can whip everybody's ass on day one. He can whip everybody's ass on day 5. The difference is 12 fights were in between. He could have sold out arenas, and he didn't get his push. Now, this happens in every single sport. And you got to earn those spots, and you got to work your way up. Like, I don't protest it. I'm just saying it is a curious case for me. Like, I agree with the ranking rooms has a problem taking someone's spot away where it was not done by actual valor. As much as I love to come over and complain about the rankings room, I'm not completely sincere with it. I mean, I must tell you, to take a guy and look at him and go, wow, he looks great, and he just stopped 4 guys in a row, and we know how good he can wrestle because we've heard about it. Now we just found out his hands and his submissions are good. Hey, let's go move him to number 5 in the world. I don't know that you can just go do that. I do understand. However, Bo is not ranked in the top 15, and I do not believe that there was one person elevated to the point that they were an expert that gets to influence our rankings that believe there's 15 guys under contract that can beat him. I don't believe that. So how do you reconcile these things? And what the hell's a guy got to be ranked for in the first place? What's that got to do with it? Why can a guy not fight number 9? For the life of me, I won't understand that if we truly adhere to the rankings. Like, your only job is to fight the easiest opponent for the biggest paycheck. You have no other job here. You have no other maneuvering. I've heard managers do that, by the way. I kind of look at it and go, hey, manager, have you read your own contract? The own contract that you typed up and had the guy sign. Have you read that? Because you get a percentage of what he makes. You don't get a percentage of the guy ranked that he fought. You got to show up and you got to win. So go get the fights that you can show up and that you can win. Win the fights you can win when you can win them. Shut up about everything else. There's no difference in if you take out the number 2 guy. There's no difference in being ranked number 2. There is one change of contract known as participation that is exclusive for a champion defending his title. If it's anything short of that, would you achieve? What the hell did you possibly achieve? Do you have a backstory? Are you smarter than this at Chael? Do you have a backstory of a guy that signed a 5-fight contract, got ready to renegotiate after he had 4 fights, he had 1 left. And because he was ranked number 5, he was given 30% higher contract versus he won all 4 of his fights. He's getting ready to sign for number 5, but he didn't make it to the rankings, so he's only given 8%. No, you don't. You don't have one example because that isn't how it works. It has never worked that way. You're achieving nothing through that. And I only bring it to you because I look at Bo. People love this guy. This guy's doing interviews. Go check his numbers. This guy did an interview with Jocko. Go check the numbers. I mean, these guys are crazy. Like, people want to hear from Bo. He's had a very interesting life. I've been following him since he was 15 years old. Bo Nickal had his ass whipped 1 time. And he might have had it whipped in the practice room by Chael, but 1 time. Since he was 15. Making world teams, beating world champions from America just to get on the team at 15. Beat Mark Hall twice in 1 day. I mean, I'm just sharing for you. He got his ass whipped 1 time. That's a great story. Would you guys like to hear it? Would you like to hear it? He goes overseas. He's in a bracket. He goes up to 96 kilograms. I think it was actually 97. They spotted him 2 kilograms, so he had to weigh in somewhere around 99. You're just south of 220. He runs into an Iranian. Told the story himself. I had seen the match. I never talked about it, but then he told the story on Joe Rogan. Said it was actually that match that helped me decide I'm going into MMA. Like, he really put this guy over. It was a big deal. It was great. Kyle Snyder then runs into the guy. It's a really interesting story. The guy that I'm talking about, the Iranian, is the son of the Iranian John Smith beat in the 92 Olympic finals. And that's interesting because that guy's 136.5 pounds. 136.5 pound Olympic silver medalist produced a just south of 220 pound son. Very interesting. So if you could go back, okay, and you're not going to give him a ranking. I bring up the rankings for a reason. You're not going to give him a ranking. You can't do it on Valerie. He hasn't beaten a guy that ranked for some reason, even though there's no actual criterion. That's what you do, even though I contend you don't truly in your heart believe there's 14 guys under contract that can whip his ass. I would have used him in the Contender Series. They had a great story. Everything's hindsight. Everything's hindsight. They had a great story. And the Ultimate Fighter is the single greatest marketing vehicle this sport has ever had. The ratings, the revenue, the world champions that have come through that will support that. But I'm not sure that's going to be true 3 years from now. Like the Contender Series is a very dynamic program that gets right to the point. You take the Ultimate Fighter that you got to watch a whole season to see a contract. Contender Series gets right to the point, right? It's a very interesting thing. They ripped off their own idea, but it's like, I see why you did that. You took the finer points of your own idea. Okay, great. So Bo goes out, he looks amazing, they don't give him the contract. Instead, they pull a move where they give him a contract for another shot at a contract. Okay, great. Well, somehow that little tiny idea, I mean, that was one of the great pieces of marketing in the history of free TV fights. I can't think of a fight night that was marketed better. We got Moicano going to fight this weekend. I mean, just by example, I don't know that fight has been built better than Bo Nickal winning on the Contender Series, not being given a contract, but being given another opportunity to win a contract. What if he did that a third time? What if they told him no the second? He's now finished 2 guys in extremely impressive fashion. Even Michael Bisping, who doesn't give out compliments, is going, wow. And they jobbed him out and put him in there a third time. What if they did that? I just think that would be a really interesting story. And what about after a third time, they go, hey, this guy deserves a contract. You know, we're gonna keep him over here. We're just going to do one more. He's only 25 years old. Hadn't had very much experience. Got the right managers, got the right people behind him. But what if they did that 4 or 5 times? Like that was catching on so well. And if you're not going to give him a ranking anyway, I'm only suggesting for it. And now we're in a situation. And one thing that I really liked about the Contender Series is Bo fought pretty quickly. Like there wasn't a huge gap. Now, a guy is supposed to get 3 fights a year. And you got all these prima donnas. I mean, you owe me 3 fights a year, but if you call me, I might not take it. I got to see if I feel up to it. And feel up to it just means, do I think I can beat the guy? That's purely all it means. And do I think I can beat the guy is purely based on, am I broke yet? But then every now and then, you run into a true tough guy like Bo, who doesn't even know anything about feeling good. He know a damn thing about it. He would never think, I got to feel good for this fight. Like, that would never cross his mind. He's taking on 5 guys in one day. Every single time he won a national championship, he had 72 hours to beat 5 men. He didn't know anything about feeling good. He knows about ice, and he knows about wrapping yourself. He knows about my fingers broken. That's all he knows. And when I do look at this calendar year, he's fought 1 time. Took on Cody Brundage. Very hard name to say. Brundage, very nice guy, turns out, by the way. And now he's booked against Paul Craig, and that feels like a massive step up in competition. Paul Craig got the jump on Jamal Hill, world champion. Paul Craig got the jump on Ankalaev, #1 contender for a world championship, up a weight class. It feels like a massive step up in competition. But, unbeknownst, Paul Craig is not ranked. So it's just one of these situations where are we going? And by the way, that fight is in November. So now you got to fight in April, you got to fight in November. Everybody's owed 3 fights a year. You got this guy, this is great talent. One of the best talents we've ever seen. He could be selling out arenas, and now he's got 2 fights a year. What happened to the 3rd fight? I'm only asking these questions. It's a very curious case, and I do think people are going to look back and go, what did we do here? All right, what did we do here? And it's not a situation where they don't like him. It's not a situation where they're trying to get him out. It appears to be just the opposite. You could draw that sumbitch right into Khamzat Chimaev right now. We've got 2 tough guys that don't care about rankings that will legitimately go out and do a match because you asked them to do it. You just found them. But that's not even a discussion. That's just simply not the direction anyone's going at all. So it appears you like a guy. It appears everything is going well. He did record numbers on a Contender Series, which is the boss's baby. He's owed 3 fights a year. He's going to end up with 2. And they're big ones. Main card at 300, main card at MSG. Which furthers my point that they like him. They see what I see. But there is a little bit of a hesitation within the strategy. It appears. Let's keep our eye on it. Let's see where it goes. And I do wonder. If I'm wrong, correct me. Bo's owed 3 fights a year. He's fought in April. He will fight in November. Am I missing one? Did Bo fight in February or January and I've overlooked it? I don't think so.